I'd like to call to order the regular meeting on October 22nd, 2018. Please join Councilmember Kano in the Pledge of Allegiance and followed by invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, in our ever-changing, complex world, we are grateful for the many blessings you have given us in Goodyear. Thank you for our land and resources and for the people and businesses who make Goodyear their home. We invite you into these proceedings and pray for the practical wisdom to make decisions on matters affecting the city today and a visionary view as we make decisions impacting Goodyear's future. We thank you for those who went before us and established a city of innovation and industry. Thank you for your provision and protection. In this month, we honor and acknowledge those who fight, have won, and have lost battles with breast cancer and domestic violence. We speak healing to hearts, minds, and bodies of everyone affected by disease and violence. We pray for our medical community, our police and fire, as they are often on the front line of these life-threatening situations. Give us insight and discernment on how we can each do our part to break this cycle of disease and violence in our land. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Kano, for that thoughtful prayer. All right, we need to excuse Councilmember Laura Tano, who's not here this evening, so do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
All right, I have a motion from Vice Mayor Campbell and a second from Councilman Pizzillo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to welcome a group here this evening. We're so pleased to welcome Leadership West to the council meeting tonight. Just stand first before I say, well, how many of you are here tonight? Wow, what a nice, thank you so much. The City of Goodyear and the council has a strong partnership with Leadership West, which plays an important role in connecting, educating, and inspiring proven leaders in business, nonprofits, and government to enhance the quality of life in the West Valley and Arizona. So from the council here, council, we're going to give them the applause now. So thank you so much. All right, let's go to communication. We have two communication items tonight. The first one is 4.1. It's the United Goodyear Firefighters Union, Local 4005, will provide an update on the 9/11 annual pancake breakfast. Welcome.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. My name is Cameron Atkinson. I'm an engineer with the Goodyear Fire Department. I'm also run our charities for our local 4005 union. So we had our annual 9/11 Memorial and Pancake Breakfast last month. And I was asked to speak a little bit about it. So this year was our 11th year of putting on this event. Over the last 11 years, this event has grown. It started off as just one of our union events and has now turned into a joint public safety and now a joint public safety and a total city event. So it's been pretty neat to watch it grow. This is one of our annual fundraisers, supported by our great community here, and this has allowed us to, over the years, put a lot of money back into the community, supporting the West Valley's needs. The ceremony started off, you can see some of these pictures here, with the Joint Police and Fire Honor Guard with the flag ceremony, followed by the national anthem, which was actually sung by two of our members' daughters, Anna Legamaro and Miley Chavez. Invocation was followed that by our Goodyear Fire Chaplain, Tim Newbill, and then we had three guest speakers. We like to do one from police, fire, and then one from the military. So we had Fire Chief Louisi speak, Deputy Police Chief Rodriguez speak, and then retired Army Staff Sergeant Cliff Schiller speak. Following the ceremony, we served breakfast to everybody who attended. So we had pancakes, sausage, eggs, the whole 9 yards, juice, coffee. Breakfast was free, but donations were graciously accepted throughout, as usual. In addition to the breakfast, we had multiple public safety displays from police and fire. We also had multiple games and activities provided by Parks and Recreation. So This actually gave us a great opportunity. You can see in some of these pictures here, we were able to show off 3 of our new fire engines, the Smeals that we got in, and then police was able to show off one of their new police Camaros. So everybody could go around, talk to Sparky, climb in and out of the trucks, take pictures, ask questions from police and fire. So it's a pretty good event. We like to be able to get out there and talk to the citizens in a non-emergency situation, be able to answer their questions and have fun with them that way. So there's some of our police SWAT guys right there in that picture, and then Sparky. So this truly is a community event. We couldn't do it without our sponsors and without our volunteers. The event is put on almost entirely by donations and is staffed entirely by volunteers. So I wanted to recognize them really quick. Wigwam Resort is our main partner here. They've been with us from the beginning. They provide all the kitchen staff, the food prep, the cooking, helping set up, helping plan. They also donate the tables and chairs for the day. So they're a big part of what we do. Village Inn donates 20 gallons of pancake batter every year for the event. Cancer Treatment Centers America donate the sausage, all the sausage and the butter packets. Sugar and Spice Bakery donated all the pastries for the event. McLean's Distribution donated an entire pallet of water bottles, about 100 cases. And then Starbucks donates all the coffee for the event. And then our volunteers that always come out every year and make quick work of the project is our Desert Edge football team, off-duty Wigwam employees, City of Goodyear Fire Cadets, the Goodyear Police Explorers, off-duty city staff, and then multiple citizens contact us directly just to come out and donate their time as well. So this year's pancake breakfast was a huge success. Again, we fed over 400 people, raised almost $2,000 in donations, and then all the leftover food and ingredients were continued to cook up. We packaged and we delivered them to the New Life Center here in Goodyear for a pancake brunch for them. So nothing goes to waste with that. Events like these allow us to raise monies that put back in our community, such as New Life Center, Westside Food Bank, Homeless Youth Connection, Camp Courage, Arizona Burn Camp, and multiple direct donations to citizens in need. So that's where some of these donations go that we use. And then some of the upcoming events, since I'm up here talking, we have holiday nights, the Wigwams coming up, which we partner with the Wigwam again. There'll be a train ride through holiday lights. There'll be a toy drive and Santa out there. And that's going to help provide some of these toys for partnering with Goodyear Feel and Need coming up. And then Christmas, we do Christmas event at the New Life Center for all the children there every year. We use some of those toys from the donation and bring Santa there. And then Christmas Day, the crews will go out on their first dues and hand out some Christmas gifts to children that are out and about Christmas morning. And then coming up this spring will be our 9th annual charity golf tournament. And this is where the fire charities and police charities join together every year, and that's our major fundraiser. So look for that coming up in May. And then as always, thank you all for your support. We can't put on these events without support of our department leadership and our city leadership. So we'd like to thank you all for your continued support for us.
Well, Cameron, we appreciate you coming up tonight and telling us all these activities. We're changing this a little bit. Usually I have every council person make a comment, but we've been closed down a little bit. It says meetings are lasting too long. So we're going to have spokesmen from now on from each of these, but I'll go ahead and take this tonight. We can't thank you enough. You do some really worthwhile events, and you put a smile on children's faces, and you take tears away from our citizens by all the wonderful things you do for them, saving their lives as well as other things, and filling their life and making their life more quality. So we do want to give a great round of applause for this event for the Firefighter Union. The next one, 4.2, Park staff will present an update on the programs planned for November 3rd at the Goodyear Ballpark. Guyleen Alansky, Arts and Culture Coordinator, to present, and your guest.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's great to be with you tonight. I have invited Arts Commissioner Karen Olson up here with me. I really look forward to being able to recognize all the great work that our Arts Commission does. These events are because of them, the recommendations they make. They are a bridge between our community and us, and they take those recommendations, bring them to us, which makes our events so much more relevant and appropriate for what people are wanting as we grow arts in Goodyear. So tonight we're here to talk about Arts in the Park. Arts in the Park is going to be on November 3rd at Goodyear Community Park. It is a completely free day of arts, a lot of different experiences. It'll kick off with Chalk Art in the Park, which many of you have been to. It's from 10 to 3. Then we'll move into Art Bash from 3 to 7 p.m. and close out the night with our fall concert series. So Chalk Art in the Park, this is the 6th year of doing Chalk Art in the Park, and this is really our Arts Commission's, one of their signature events that they've been able to bring to the city. It's a great way to build community, to bring people out to work side by side with professional artists, to have Goodyear Community Park become the canvas and beautiful artwork be on the sidewalks, on the stage. This year we have 14 professional artists that will be out there making some beautiful artwork to enjoy, but along with the 100 squares that we usually get filled by the community that comes in and joins in with them. All of that is free. All the supplies are there. Anyone that wants to stop in is able to come check in at the Arts Commission booth, get their art supplies, and they can go right out and create. The next event that will be part of that day that will begin at 3 p.m. is Art Bash, and this is a brand new event, and it's in partnership with WHAM Art Association. WHAM is going to bring out 8 professional artists, and they're going to have booths set up, and each of these booths is going to be a different arts experience. And these arts experiences are for people of all ages, youth through adults, and it's not going to be just your traditional like make and take craft activities. These are going to be artists with professional art supplies teaching arts activities. So one of the booths will be clay, and there'll be an opportunity to work with clay, whether that's hand building or throwing on the wheel. Another experience is a plein air painting experience where someone will get a canvas and they'll actually paint what they see in the park that day. There'll be watercolor painting, some abstract painting, collage making. They'll be working with inks. So there's lots of different things to try, and it's for everyone. It's for the novice and experienced artists to come out, enjoy time with others, and create. That event will go from 3 to 7 p.m., and that will work us into our last activity for the evening, which is our popular fall concert series. We have Outside the Line, our rec office. They organize and they plan these great concerts for everyone. It's a very high-energy band that will end the evening with a bang. So not only do we have all these great art activities, we're also going to have free face painting out there. We'll have food vendors with food for purchase. We'll have our arts commissioners, our mobile museum, and a lot of those great activities that we see at a lot of our events. And we're really looking forward to bringing it out to the community. So I hope to see you there. Arts in the Park, all day, free arts experiences on November 3rd. Our communications team here in Goodyear has this great hashtag Art in Park Goodyear. We hope that everyone comes out, shares their pictures, and creates some great excitement about the events. So those that are there and enjoying it and those that can't be there can see the great arts things that are happening in our city.
Sounds great. And I'm going to let Brandon, because he's the one that has 3 small children. And they're the ones that always love to get their fingers into the chalk and things. So I'm asking him to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, on behalf of the council, yes, thank you so much for putting this event on. It definitely looks like a very fun event that all day long, a lot of good fun, definitely brings a lot of sense of community, things people can do, they can have memories of, and it sounds just like a really fun day. So thank you for working with all the great partners with WHAM and other city departments, and I think it'll be a good thing that people will remember and look forward to, and definitely have a great day enjoying the arts. So that's really good opportunity. So thank you so much for the Arts Commission and staff. So thank you.
Give him a round of applause, all right? All right, now is the time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda item. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on a non-agenda item? All right, with that, we'll go on. So let's go to the consent agenda. Is the approval of the consent agenda? Will the city clerk please read consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.12 by title only, please?
6.1, approval of minutes. 6.2, approve fiscal year 2019 and fiscal year 2018 budget transfers. 6.3, approve the 2019 council meeting calendar. 6.4, approve and authorize the city manager to execute the letter of intent for ambulance transport services. 6.5, adopt resolution number 2018-1899, authorizing the city manager to execute an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, for multi-city household hazardous waste, HHW, collection day event between the cities of Goodyear, Litchfield Park, and Avondale and Tolleson. 6.6, approve a budget transfer for Sonoran Valley Parkway right-of-way from the Bureau of Land Management. 6.7, approve the final plat for Estrella Parcel 11.A1. 6.A, approve the final plat for Palm Gate. 6.9, adopt resolution number 2018-1911, authorizing the city manager or her designee to execute the memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Glendale Police Department and Goodyear Police Department for participation in the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, NIBIN program. 6.10, accept the Arizona Department of Homeland Security Grant Award. 6.11, accept the U.S. Department of Justice Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Award. 6.12, recommend approval of an acquisition of control for Clubhouse Grill AZ.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Does anyone in council wish to take? Sorry, guys, starting a little bit. Does the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? All right, then could I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda? The motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Hampton and a second from Council Bazzillo. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, we're at the business. Now, again, we're changing our procedure tonight, all right? So I'm going to allow you to intermittently ask questions, and that's different than what we've done. So the first item, 7.1, is to conduct a public hearing to consider the request for a use permit within the approved Hudson Commons Plan area development. Open public hearing. Karen Craver, Planner 3, presenting. Karen?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. The drive-through restaurant under consideration this evening is a Culver's restaurant. It'll be located on this 1.7-acre parcel on the west side of Estrella Parkway, south of Van Buren, and just kitty-cornered from the new Dunkin' Donuts. The subject property is also within the approved Hudson Commons mixed-use development. I think some of you will remember seeing this a few years back. Hudson Commons has a section of single-family along its western third, a section of multifamily at the southeast corner, and then a commercial section of the northeast corner. My lovely hand-drawn red arrow there points to the parcel on which Culver's will be located. It's at a full median break in Estrella Parkway. This is the site plan for the restaurant. It will be accessed via 2 drives off of Estrella Parkway. These are Hudson Commons driveways that will be constructed at the same time the restaurant is constructed. They will have 64 parking spaces on the south side of the restaurant, the drive-through lane, of course, along the eastern side and north side of the restaurant. And there will be 2,400 square feet of indoor dining area as well as a 1,000 square foot outdoor dining area. The restaurant and the drive-through lane are both proposed to be open from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. This is their landscape plan, very nice landscape plan, as you can see, with significant buffering to buffer the drive-through lane from Estrella Parkway. These are the elevations that are proposed. It's a stucco base with accent stone, brick, and metal panel accents. There will also be sun-blocking shades around the outdoor dining area to make that very useful or usable during a good portion of the year. The north elevation is where the drive-through is in the center. That's interior to the site. And they have also provided these renderings to show you what the building will look like on Estrella Parkway. The request meets all the criteria for a use permit, and in particular for a convenience drive-through use. Staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 7-0, recommended approval of the use permit, and we are asking that you also approve it subject to the stipulations in your staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and Greg Landon with Culver's is here tonight and in the audience and also available if you have any questions of him.
Thank you, Karen. Would the applicant like to speak? Welcome. Yes, it's nice to see you again.
I'm not in the truck in a
I know. You know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling good to see you this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is no small project. This is the biggest Culver's probably in the West.
Can we get you come up and then we'll get you on the record?
I take a great deal of pride in what I built prior to arriving. I've been a 21-year franchisee of Culver's. I eat, sleep, and drink it. If I'm not at home, I'm usually in one of my restaurants. I appreciate the staff. I appreciate your wonderful community. I've lived here since 2010 up on Australia Parkway. I've planned this restaurant for 5 years. Unfortunately, I went to Avondale and Verrado prior to coming here. But I've arrived, and your community is ready for us. So I'm getting involved in the ballpark. I live here 60% of the time, and I finally put in a pool. So I think I'm ready. Any questions that you may have on this particular project?
Thank you very much. Are there any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the use permit for convenient use subject to stipulation? Do I hear the motion?
So moved. Second.
I heard a motion from Vice Mayor Campbell and a second from Councilman Hampton. Open council discussion. Councilman Pizzillo.
I might not eat, sleep as much as you do, but I enjoy your restaurant. I've been there a lot of times, and again, welcome to the community.
Councilman Hampton.
I was going to echo. Welcome to the community. We're excited to have you, and I think it's a great use for that area, and it'll be exciting to see that side of the road take off and have some more development and kick off that side as well. So I think residents will be excited to eat there and also see the increased development there too. So thank you. I'm glad that you live and chose to do business in Goodyear. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
I have a question. Karen, where is the entrance and exit for this property, please? You whipped through the map so quick I couldn't find it. I'm
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Mayor, if I may, this is Estrella Parkway, running north and south, and a driveway, a Hudson Commons entrance will be constructed here, and one will be constructed here, and this internal roadway will also be constructed so they can get into the parking lot as well as the drive-through.
Okay, so it's going to be facing eastbound on Pebble Creek Parkway?
Switch it to This is the main door of the restaurant. It will face south. This is the east elevation. This is what will face Estrella Parkway.
Okay. And then the driveway will be on either side of it.
The drive-through lane faces north. This is the drive-through window right here. Should I take you back to the site plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? That landscape plan is easier to see. You come in here off of Estrella Parkway.
Okay, that's it. Estrella Park. What I'm getting at, Estrella Parkway is the only entrance and exit.
The driveways are off of Estrella. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
How's that? Thank you. Councilman Kano.
I remember when this Hudson Commons idea was introduced, and that was years ago because I was sitting in the audience, and I love the idea of the residential and the mixed use and the commercial. So it is exciting to see this commercial come to fruition, and I think it will be a big kickstart. It's a beautiful building. You have a great product, and I think it's going to be a welcome stopping place for all the local amenities. So very happy to have Culver's.
Councilmember Stipp.
You know, a community isn't complete without a Culver's. I had to give that one out, but seriously, we in the work session before this meeting, we talked about the industrial area between Van Buren and Yuma, and Councilmember Hampton said, hey, where are these people going to be able to go to eat? Well, now we're providing places for them as well. So, and this, I believe, is the start of that really complex development going in at Hudson Commons, and very excited to see it. Love the design, the size. We're finally getting a restaurant the right size for our community. So thank you and welcome.
Yes, and I welcome you. I remember going to the Avondale opening, and we had this great conversation.
Yeah.
And so I waited year after year, and you know how happy I am that you're here.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Roy Culver was there.
that's right.
And
That's
I said in front of Mayor Lord, I said, invite me, we'll be there. So,
yes. Well, I'm thrilled. So thank you so much for having the confidence to come and to build it. It's going to be a nice one at a good spot.
1,100 square feet of that will be my headquarters. I've never had an administrative assistant. My wife and I have done everything for 21 years. So
Wow.
we're investing in this restaurant, not only personnel, but it'll be the central training center of every restaurant I build.
Oh,
Oh,
we love it.
wonderful.
Thank you so much. Well, then let's vote on this. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome to Goodyear. All right, 7.2 on the business is a public hearing to consider a request to rezone approximately 193 acres from the planned area development to a single-family restaurant. I'm saying residential. Open public hearing. Alex Latinsky, Planner 3, presenting. Hi, Alex.
Hello, Mayor. Thank you. Good evening. This is the rezone for La Privada. Consists of 193 acres within West Goodyear. Forgive me, I did put northwest corner. This is on the northeast corner of Yuma and Perryville. And as you mentioned, the property is zone planned area development under the La Privada PAD. To the north is the Amber Meadows PAD, and then a little bit of county land. To the east is all county. And then to the south, directly south of Yuma, and that red box is zoned R16. That's the Paseo Place community. And then you have a little county island as well on the hard corner of Yuma and Perryville. So as I mentioned, the property is currently zoned PAD, and the PAD designates the parcels as R16 and R17. These two darker yellows are the R17, and then a park site designated for R16, as well as these other three parcels. And so they essentially duplicate what the city's standards were at the time, but had a few deviations which required the PAD. And when the applicant came in to request rezoning 2 of the 6 parcels to smaller lot sizes, they worked with staff to remove the entire PAD from the property to get everything designated as city districts. So the request tonight is to rezone the property to R16, R17, and R14. And the big difference here is that parcels 3 and 5 are being rezoned to R14, so those are the circled ones on the west half and the south half of the La Privada site. And the ultimate increase in the number of lots is 24 units in those 2 parcels. The rest of the parcels, as I mentioned, are being rezoned to their respective zoning districts while eliminating that La Privada PAD overlay. If you'll recall, the use of R14 zoning requires additional design elements. So in this circumstance, using the R14 district, 1 amenity element, 2 connectivity elements, and 3 streetscape elements are required. The applicant has decided to utilize additional internal park amenities as their
It's nice.
amenity option. So the minimum park requirement for developments greater than 45 acres is a 5-acre park. And one thing to note, that parcel 6 will still remain as a designated school or park site. It is in conjunction with that Amber Meadows. So the school site could be on either, or could be on one of those sites. But the 5-acre, actually this is a 7.96 acre park site currently will still remain. So in addition to that minimum requirement, the exhibit on the screen is is included in your packets as Exhibit H. It's the conceptual landscape plan, which includes a variety of additional elements that have been agreed upon by staff and the applicant to meet the requirements. So a stipulation of approval does require them to develop these amenities in accordance with this plan. For connectivity elements, the applicant is actually providing 3 elements. One is their trail systems will be publicly accessible. This area is also adjacent to the Maricopa Trail, which runs along the south side of Yuma Road. They have also committed to at least 30% of the R14 district lots being at least 50 feet wide. and the blocks are smaller in accordance with the city's R14 option. For the streetscape elements, the applicant has committed to doing detached sidewalks in areas that are zoned R14 and, alternative paving in the driveways. And then for the third requirement, staff collaborated with the applicant to include stamped concrete at the intersections, the main intersections to the neighborhoods, which will provide a nice community feature. And those areas will be maintained by the HOA. Due and proper notice was provided to property owners within 500 feet of the rezoning area for a citizens review meeting and the public hearings before the commission and the council tonight. On June 6th, the neighborhood meeting was held and about 15 residents adjacent to the property attended. The meeting notes were provided to you in your packets. At the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing on October 10th, 2 residents expressed concern about the rezoning regarding public nuisance of existing agricultural features in the county and the impact to new development, as well as concerns about additional density in the area. Staff has found that the application demonstrated conformance with the city's general plan and planning and zoning and engineering standards. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the item with a proposed stipulation, which is included in your packets as stipulation number 19. This restricts the homes along the east side of parcel 3, adjacent to the county land to 1 story. I have an exhibit here where that stipulation would apply. This concludes my presentation. The applicant does have a presentation for you as well, and I can answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Does the applicant wish to speak? All right. I guess you put the timer on you for 10 minutes, so you have the floor.
Oh,
welcome.
A lot sooner than that. Good evening. All right, so my name's Hugo Blanco. I'm with Melcor. I'm Assistant Development Manager, and we have our consultant, Don Fortuna from Rick Engineering. Did I get this? Okay, there we go.
Would you pull the mic up towards you so we can hear you better?
Yeah, is that a little bit better?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's better.
thank
Thank you.
All right, so we are looking to add, first of all, thank you for having me up here. We're looking to add La Privada to our just recently final approved Paseo Place 1 and Paseo Place 2. La Privada was previously approved, but then lapsed. So we then took the opportunity to work closely with city staff to pretty much improve the overall connectivity and just diversify the community altogether. So we saw some good opportunities, so we went ahead and took those. Like she mentioned, we are rezoning. Let's see here. Oh, must have not sent the other one. So we are rezoning, like she mentioned, and that's mainly just to open up space, add diversification, different product to the community. We are also mainly focusing on open space, recreational space, amenities that will make this community unique and very inviting and accommodating to the future residents from there. These are close-ups of potential of our future amenities that we've included, which is going to be having dog parks. We love our furry friends, so we want to make sure we don't have to travel too far for them either. We have basketball courts, sand volleyball, amphitheater sitting, ramadas. I skipped one. And also the public trail, which we did make sure to include. We figured that'd be a great addition. We want to make sure it's very inviting, very inactive community. We want to make sure that everything's available for the future residents. Let's see here. There's more amphitheater seating, play structures for kids. Let's see here. I think that's pretty much it, unless I'm missing something else, Don. Go ahead and go ahead.
So I'm Dawn Fortuna. I'm the project manager with Rick Engineering for this project, and I'm do both planning and engineering at Rick Engineering. So we work really closely. This project came on board, I guess you guys have had it about 2 years, and one of the advantages to that was it was able to let us collaborate with what we were doing with Paseo. And so when they bought this project, they really wanted to create not only physical connections, because we know healthier communities are better for everybody, but to create social connections as part of that. So when we worked through a lot of the recreation amenities, we started off with making the connections and then kind of came back and added the houses as part of that. This project was previously approved, so we honored the same configurations they had with parcels 1, 2, and 4. But one of the things that Melcor had done was they had done a study that reflected if they added that diversification and had the 3 zoning districts, that they would be able to sell that out in 4 years instead of 8 through construction. So based on that, that kind of opened that opportunity to have a range of home buyers in there, and it just makes, I think, a better product. And as you guys know, West Goodyear has really been trying to get a jump start for a long time, and I think between what they have going with Paseo, which we just took to council recently for parcel 1, parcel 2 the month before, I think this is really going to get a lot of synergy out there. The one thing I did want to add, though, is several of the residents in the county island to the east had some concerns that they brought up. We went back to our office. Because of the short time frame between the Planning Commission meeting and having to provide additional data to the city, we couldn't get it in your packet, but we talked with Alex and Katie, and we went back to our office and we did some perspective to kind of show what those differences are, because I think Melcor is respectfully requesting that they remove the stipulation to restrict those homes to single story. So I have a, no, let's put this one up. I guess we can do it all. So go ahead, put that on. So this is currently with the view, upside down, keep turning. There we go. So this is what the view looks like. It's approximately halfway up parcel 3, where you can see in the distance the White Tanks Mountains through there. And they had expressed some concerns about that. So what we did is we started off with a perspective where we have both 1 and 2 story homes in there, and you can see a little bit. I'm a handy dandy pen. You can see a little bit kind of the edge of the mountains through there, just at the top. It's a little hard to see through here. Oh, did that help, Alex? I don't know. Okay, I'll keep talking. I'm keeping my time limit here. But so what we ended up doing is we kind of went back to our office and we kind of came up with some reasoning about why we feel the stipulation should be removed. And again, I'm sympathetic to the folks in the county island to the east, and we would just say that this perspective doesn't have any of the landscaping, so there'll be additional things that will continue to block that tiny amount of view that they have there. The original project, we added an additional 15 feet of buffer zone from what was previously approved, because we're putting a trail on that side. Before, it was just going to be the emergency conveyance channel. So now we're adding a pedestrian trail that'll go through there as well. The previous rezoning allowed for 2-story homes to be allocated within that area. We're not deviating from what was previously accepted. Parcel 3, we only added 2 additional lots along that eastern boundary. It's currently zoned, would have been zoned R16, which allowed 55-foot wide lots. R14 actually allows for 45-foot wide lots. We're proposing 50. So again, we're only adding 2 additional lots down that side, and I think 9 total in parcel 3. The distance from the homeowner's property line to the back wall of those homes is a minimum of 165 feet. Again, we've had some concerns, and I think we've covered it. And then we actually did one other exhibit. I feel like a magician here. So this here shows what it would be if it was all single stories, but having 2 stories on the next block over. And again, you can see just a very minuscule amount of homes or mountain views would be shown through there from the tops of those houses. And so while I can be sympathetic, the city doesn't currently have an ordinance, I don't believe, in place that protects the view sheds for neighbors. Those mountains are located, I think I calculated before, like 4 miles away. So it puts a little bit of a burden on the applicant, because if you have those single stories, it's going to eat up more of their backyard. So I would respectfully ask that the council consider removing that particular stipulation. And I don't know if you have any other questions.
sorry.
I think we're
I
done.
just didn't know if you had any.
Yeah, no,
questions.
if you guys have any questions.
No, are there?
No
any
speaker cards,
Are there
Mayor.
speaker cards? All right, thank you very much for the presentation. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, please come up. I see him. And give your name, please. Your address. All right. Just so you know, you have, the light will tell you when you're finished, it'll red green. You've been up before, I'm sure. The yellow will give you a warning. All right.
Excellent.
And you
Thank you
are?
very much, Ms. Lord, and council members for seeing us. I am one of those residents that live in that farming community that is beside the project they have proposed.
Be sure you say your name and address.
Oh, Bill Lanier. And I'm at on 181st Avenue.
Can we get the gold card that you have
Sure.
there? Thank you. Well, in the interest of time, if you want to go ahead and speak and then complete that after, that would be fine.
Where I was is at the planning and zoning meeting, we, asked for the, a change in, to keep it the original way it was, R16 instead of the R14s. And a few of the members on that planning and zoning committee agreed with our idea that they be single stories, because minuscule to one person as far as changing a view means a lot to those that have lived there for 20, 30 years. And I also think we would have had a lot more people coming from our community to the meeting if a sign of notice of the public of hearing was along 181st Avenue, where all of our homes are located on that whole area from Yuma to Van Buren. But it wasn't placed there. It was just placed on Yuma and on Perryville. But we still, request that it be single story so we can still have a little view of those white tanks, which is, will soon be gone. And pretty much that's all I have to say. And thank you very much for your consideration and your time.
Thank you. Any other speaker cards? All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read Resolution 2018-1907 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2018-1907, declaring as public records those certain documents filed with the city clerk titled Supplementary Zoning Map Number 18-04 and Legal Description Parcel 1, Legal Description Parcel 2, Legal Description Parcel 3, Legal Description Parcel 4, Legal Description Parcel 5, Legal Description Parcel 6, and La Privada Overall Conceptual Landscape Plan dated August 27, 2018, prepared by Rick Engineering Company.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to adopt Resolution 2018-1907? Motion?
So moved. Second.
I hear a motion by Councilman Pizzillo and a second by Councilman Stiff. Open for council discussion. Councilman Vice Mayor?
I have a question, and I guess I have a question to Katie maybe, or to even Rory. If this property was zoned before for two-story homes, how can we not zone it for two-story homes? I don't understand how we can go back and say you can't do it now.
Alex or somebody like to
Does
come up and
somebody
talk?
know this? I mean, this is really interesting to me.
So can you clarify the stipulation? Is it in or is it not in, or?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission was to include this stipulation, and staff does bring the Planning and Zoning recommendation to you. So the stipulation is currently in the ordinance. That regulation wasn't there previously.
Just repeat the regulation for her.
Oh, that the area in the homes in parcel 3 adjacent to the county would be limited to 1 story.
That's what they want now, but what did we approve before?
Oh, there was no stipulation.
They could have two-story homes.
Story homes. I'm sorry, I didn't follow the question. So yes, they were allowed to have 2-story homes. That parcel is a parcel where there was a request for smaller lots, which is why Commission limited it to that parcel.
Okay, and they said they have made the lot smaller from 60 feet to, or 40, I'm sorry, 55 to 50 or 60 to 50. So they've made the lot smaller. They've done that.
Correct.
But they're requesting, the builder is requesting that they be allowed the two-story homes on that one part. Now, have we, before tonight, have we voted to protect views for people? They certainly wouldn't do it when I bought my home.
To my recollection, I can't think of a time when we've limited height to protect views.
Okay, thank you.
And council, any other discussion? Councilman Stiff?
The photos were helpful to see the view point. And I've been switching back and forth between a Google map of that area and the landscape view. If you look at the landscape conceptual plan, there are 2 rows of trees proposed. I'm not sure who I'm directing this question to, so if somebody has a picture of that.
I can't say absolutely without looking at it, but I don't know.
It's the overall conceptual landscape plan, so I'm hoping that Alex or somebody has that picture.
Oh, there you go.
That one. So on the very right-hand side, under where the 3 is right there, that looks like 2 rows of trees, or is that bushes?
I think what we have in there is that it's going to be shrubs because there'll be an emergency conveyance channel, and 181st Avenue is currently a dirt road and will remain that way. So we don't want to. You wouldn't want to add an obstruction from a safety point of view to have a tree through there, in my engineering opinion.
No, you during your presentation you had said something about trees, so then I was going to this. I'm like, are these trees?
There'll be trees along the trail on the west side of the conveyance channel, and then also I'm sure folks will put trees in their backyard.
Okay, so there will be trees on part of that.
There will be trees along the west.
Along the west side of that
Alex,
trail
will you
that
come
runs
up and
along the
help,
back.
please?
I'm clear. I don't know if anybody else is.
Oh, all right.
But, so I think when we look at that, and then now I have to switch screens in front of me, and we look at the actual Google map of that area. There are what looks like 4 homes, 4 properties that border 181st that really have some of that view.
I think there's 3 homes, 3 residents.
It looks like, yeah, it's hard to tell without actually having driven down there, but we're not talking about a big impact. And when I first saw it, I mean, honestly, I thought, well, this is a great solution. I think everybody should be, we should be happy about that. And then tonight's presentation provided a little bit more clarity for me. And I tend to agree with Councilmember Campbell. If we've already said yes to 2 stories, I'm finding it kind of hard to believe or hard to go back and say, well, now we want 1. Can somebody tell me along that parcel 3 how many lots we've added from the previous to this one?
We've added 2 additional lots.
So we could have had, how many are in there that go along that back row? I can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought maybe somebody might know.
No, I actually do. I want to say it's like, I think it is like 17 or 18 home. It might be 19.
19 now, so theoretically 17 before, if that's the number, 15 and 17, whatever it is. I don't know that that's really that big of a difference. And
I guess
I'm
the only
having a
thing
hard time.
I would say is that we've also added an additional, because we've added the trail, it's actually pushed it an additional 15 feet over
Right.
from what it was previously approved.
So from a grand scale of things, I'm having a hard time saying yes to the stipulation. This is the first development that I think we've had in its entirety that has gone with the new zoning requirements that we have. The number of amenities and the types of amenities that are in this project are very exciting for what we've done, for this new zoning piece. And I think this is the first time we've seen that. So this is going to be a much higher quality with the smaller density than I think we've seen perhaps before, or at least in a different configuration. And the partnership piece for me has always been about everyone comes kind of in agreement. And if the applicant is not in agreement with the last minute stipulation, and there's really not a compelling reason to make that other than we're trying to preserve the view that, quite honestly, I don't know that we're not going to be able to preserve it. Something that goes up on the other side, or even at the freeway at Perryville and the I-10, we could put a 4-story office building there and it would completely, blow those views out. So I'm having a hard time agreeing to the stipulation, so I'm just going to kind of leave it uncommitted at that.
I have to tell you, I've sold real estate in new homes and for a long time, and you can't buy a view. It's almost universal. And I understand the pain that people go through when they invest in a home, and this is where they're going to stay, and they see that. It always makes me sad when I know there are sales reps that do not tell people that, and I would tell them right away. What you own is that plat. You can look up at the sky, but you don't own it. And you don't own the view. So it's cruel, and it sounds like I'm cold, but it's a fact in real estate and buying land. So that's my position on it. So are we able to vote with this lawyer without?
Madam Mayor, right now you're on the resolution, which is just declaring the public record.
Okay.
If you want to make adjustments to the stipulation, it'll be on the next action item, which will be the adoption of the ordinance.
All right.
And if council were so inclined, you could remove that stipulation in the main motion, adopt ordinance.
So I'm just going
And
to
then
vote on
removing
this one, and
stipulation
then we'll go to
19.
the next one.
So it'll be on the next action item.
So Bill, yes.
This is different, not the same topic, but so talking about the Perryville there, will that road be widened there, that portion of it, or just that section of their homes right there?
Perryville Road in that section will be widened to its ultimate location. They'll stripe it down to match the existing conditions north and south of there.
Okay, and then I'm looking at slide 3. Is that South County Island? Says currently under annexation? Does that mean that it's getting annexed right now?
Mayor, Councilmember Hampton, I believe you're looking at the existing, this.
Right there, yeah.
At the time, the Paseo Place parcel, I believe, was under annexation. Someone wants to jump in and correct me. I believe that's what that was referring to. But since it was captured in the old document, that's how the map was written at the time. So that Paseo Place portion is currently annexed. To the west of that, I think right about at this line, it is county. It's still county.
Okay. Okay, but the other side is not county, you're saying?
So
The west?
if you look at this map,
Yeah.
so
Oh, okay.
county, and then the Paseo Place boundary, I think it comes right around this house right here. And then the Paseo Place portion is annexed by the city.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, well, the second part of it, will the city clerk please read ordinance 2018-1411 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2018-1411, conditionally rezoning approximately 193 acres located at the southeast corner of Perryville Road and Harrison Road alignment and the northeast corner of Yuma Road and the 183rd Avenue alignment known as La Privada by rezoning approximately 69 acres from final planned area development PAD to R1-7, approximately 48 acres from PAD to R1-6, and approximately 76 acres from PAD to R1-4, amending the zoning map of the City of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, providing for corrections, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for penalties.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and a second?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the ordinance with removal of the stipulation
Stipulation 19.
Removing stipulation 19. I think I got what you got.
All right.
Second.
So I heard the motion from Councilmember Stiff and a second from Vice Mayor Campbell. Open for council discussion.
I just want to say that I think it's an exceptional development with the connectivity and the buffer between the lines on 181st Avenue is really quite remarkable. I think the addition of the two additional homes doesn't justify a change in the whole overall what was approved initially, so I support the removal of the stipulation.
Stiff?
I
Pizzillo.
echo. Whoops.
I know I did it, didn't I?
You did it, yes. I echo Councilmember Cano's comments. I don't think it's wrong going back to what we originally had. And two properties, to me, just doesn't justify it. So I'll be in favor of it.
All right, I think we're ready to vote. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Campbell? Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we're down to 7.3 on business to adopt the resolution 2018-1908, approving a development agreement for Rainbow Valley. Assistant City Attorney Sarah Chilton presenting. Sarah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Welcome.
It has been, Mayor, Lord, Vice Mayor Campbell, council members. It's been a long time coming. This has been before you in some fashion or another since January of 2018.
Sarah, can you bring that a little bit closer to you? Thank you.
So just to give you a bit of history, we started a process of rezoning a development called Rainbow Valley in 2007. Then the downturn hit and nothing happened, and it kind of got resurrected in early 2017. Staff was having a hard time reconciling the fact that the area being developed wasn't adjacent to existing infrastructure, wasn't in our water service territory, and really wasn't being provided. And so we had concerns about how to serve the property. In January of 2018, a yellow paper was presented to council, followed up with a work session January 29th, 2018, in which some of the challenges for the development of this area were discussed and some of the concerns about moving forward with entitlement without having addressed any of that. So as a result of the work session, staff was given direction to try and find solutions that would allow the entitlement to move forward, but a solution that would be consistent with the city's policy that growth pays for growth, doesn't unduly burden existing residents, and minimizes the risk to the city. So the proposed development agreement for Rainbow Valley and the stipulations in the zoning ordinances, which you'll hear about the following item, are the mechanisms developed to achieve the council's desired outcome. I don't know how much you want to go into detail for the agreement. I think that it is important to note that in keeping with the city's policies that growth pays for growth, the development agreement requires the owner to purchase all capital equipment, dedicate all necessary on-site and off-site rights-of-way, design, install, and construct all public infrastructure as determined as being necessary to serve the property and to allow the city to provide services in this area. In addition to this general obligation, there were some specific areas that the development agreement talked about that will require further review and supplementation over the years as we move through the development process. But they were addressing transportation requirements, fire service requirements, utility service requirements, and also parks, which were concerned about the health, safety, and welfare of the residents. So the agreement has 4 main areas in terms of infrastructure. It has a broad description of what would be required in terms of water infrastructure and what their obligations would be if the city were to provide service.
We're undergoing an integrated wastewater and wastewater master plan right now. So we don't even know if it's feasible for us to provide service in this area. So the agreement provides the mechanisms. If we provide it, if we can't provide it, the terms under what we'll provide it. And if we can't provide it under those terms, what they would have to do in terms of a private provider. The development agreement the zoning ordinance contains a stipulation that talks about what would happen if they couldn't find we weren't willing, or we couldn't provide it the way we wanted to, and they couldn't find a private provider. So there's a backup in the stipulations if that situation were to arise. The agreement, and all of this is outlined in the staff report, talks about transportation, some of the major issues that we wanted to make sure were covered, like the bridge over Waterman Wash. And the one particular issue was secondary access, how you got down there, because there's one road in and out of there. So it addressed how we were going to provide fire service. So we touched upon some of those major issues in those categories. And with parks, whenever we have a master plan community, we had concerns about timing. So the whole development agreement includes triggers for when certain amenities are supposed to be constructed, just to ensure that as residents come in, that amenities will be available to them. And then the final topic was, in terms of infrastructure, was the fire services. We anticipate this development will be served out of the fire station that's being constructed at Fire Station 186 at Willis Road and Estrella. We think it will serve the whole entire development, but there are triggers in case development outstrips the ability of that station to provide service there. And then the final topic included were just some financing mechanism for reimbursement, since they'll be constructing a lot of infrastructure that will benefit other developments in the future in that area. I can go into detail if you want, but I think it's kind of laid out. If you have any questions.
We'll see. All right, thank you, Sarah. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Be sure that you put your name and address and telephone number. Please come forward. I think you know that the timing that you'll have, and you know what the green and the red means and all of that. So
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. For the record, Bill Lally with Tiffany and Bosco tonight representing the applicant. Sarah did a great job of giving you the details on the development agreement. I wanted to just reiterate all of the hard work that your staff did. We sat here about 10 months ago and you gave all of us direction to work together to come up with a compromise, to work through some of these issues, find some solutions. And your staff, they were tough but fair, and they were very reasonable when it came to flexibility that we all knew that we needed on items that we didn't have all of the answers to today. So I want to thank all of the staff here. There's probably 20 people in this room that we spent many, many hours every single week coming down to City Hall and sitting with your department heads, Sarah and Rorik and Julie and Wynette, trying to work through all of these issues. And I applaud you for giving us the opportunity to do that, and I applaud staff for spending a great amount of time to do that. And I think the development agreement in front of you today is a good template moving forward in an area that does not have all of the infrastructure in place. It answers a lot of questions, but it also gives flexibility for reasonable answers to be looked at in the future. It gives staff and the city all of the proper assurances that things aren't done properly in the future and that you're left with liability. So again, thank you very much for the direction that you provided us 10 months ago, and we greatly appreciate being here tonight with an agreement that was worked out with a lot of hours and a lot of hard work. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Are there any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Will the city clerk please read Resolution 2018-1908 by title only, please?
Adopt resolution number 2018-1908, approving development agreement for Rainbow Valley, authorizing the city attorney to make non-substantive changes to the development agreement for Rainbow Valley, directing the city manager to execute the development agreement for Rainbow Valley, authorizing and directing the city manager or her designee to take all actions and execute all documents necessary to carry out the intent of the resolution and the development agreement for Rainbow Valley, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. All right, we're going to do this in 2 votes. So could I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2018-1908? Your motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Stiff and a second by Councilman Hampton. Open for council discussion? Well, I'm going to make a discussion. Oh, I'll let you go first then. Sorry about that, Councilman Stiff.
It was actually me.
I know,
Oh,
he
was
thought
it
it was
you? I thought
Pizzello.
it was me, okay.
I meant Stiff. He put his hand up.
Yeah,
Well, I
me
thought
or
you
my
were
twin
looking at
brother.
me, yeah.
You know,
You see what I have to live with?
yeah, exactly. This is, this has been a very long process. And there's not a lot of questions that we've had because we have had a number of executive session meetings on this development agreement as this thing has been being negotiated along the way. One of the things that I think this has got to be a record for us to get a development agreement done in this short period of time that we did it. And we, as a city, as a staff, we should celebrate that we can get this done. Sometimes these things take a year or longer to put through. And I think, as we have heard, this is going to be a really good framework. So all the effort that went into this really is going to be applicable to future development agreements now that we've got the hard work done. So from a policy perspective, I really appreciate the staff's commitment to getting this done and the timing that it took. This is one of the first brand new areas that we have added in this city since 2006, I think. So it's been more than 10 years since we've done something this significant, and I think it's a moment that we should be very proud of as we go forward.
Thank you, Councilman Pizzello.
You know, I could echo some of the sentiments of Councilmember Stipp, but I know when you entered this, there was very complicated issues that had to be addressed. Number one, to protect the city's interest, to ensure that this development could actually go through. And I appreciate the working of the developer, the working of staff, and I know you put a lot of hours in there to get this done. And I really appreciate this getting finished. And kudos to the staff, kudos to the developer coming to agreement, because this was not an easy thing. We didn't have anything down there. We didn't have the infrastructure. We have the water. We didn't have a lot of things down there that you all had to come to an agreement with to move this thing forward. And that's what happens when you have great partnerships between the public and the private. And I really appreciate all your effort. And again, kudos to all the staffs that worked on this and on the development side. Thank you.
I don't know if all right, Vice Mayor?
Well, in 2009, I asked Joe Schmidt when were we going to start the Rainbow Valley development, and he laughed. But we do thank everyone for coming together. Should I wait until we vote on the 80,000 to ask that question, or would that be appropriate?
Vice Mayor Campbell, I should have probably covered it. The 80,000 is part of the financing reimbursement mechanism. The city in the development agreement committed to paying the cost for updating the impact fees to include this area. Right now, our impact fees don't include this area.
Okay.
So it will include the area for streets and fire, and also transportation. The only infrastructure improvement in the transportation is the bridge expansion over Estrella, and the intent is that they would make a contribution towards that in terms of impact fees.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That was really my only question.
Brandon?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate what everybody else already talked about. It's a great partnership, and I appreciate everybody's hard work, so thank you.
Well, I'm going to give you a compliment, Sarah. 44 pages I read through. The time that it took you, your talent. I mean, all of you need to herald her tonight. That was quite an accomplishment. It wasn't easy to do, and we greatly appreciate it. And I talked to the city manager about it today. I said, really, we need to use this document for our lead class. It's now, I mean, we should have given her a doctorate degree for this one. I mean, this dissertation it's marvelous. So I look at it this way, it's a lesson to councils coming behind us that will be coming and lead this city, Because when you say, oh, what wasn't the planning, well, we'll just do it. We were so cavalier about how this is going to be so simple. It's not simple. And our job is certainly to welcome new homes, new products, new areas, but we have to protect the citizens and our city. And we have to do it right. And you did it right. And I compliment all the staff that worked with her. I realized there were other fingers in on this with you. But 44 pages of sitting down on somebody's legal, come on.
I appreciate the compliment, but it was a group effort, and it was, a lot of meetings. We had weekly meetings. We went over a lot of stuff, and I was talking to Mike Merriman, the property owner, outside, and I just want to tell you how much I appreciate working with him. We had hard-fought battles over different terms, but somebody asked me about that, and I said, this isn't the scary type of development agreement, because he's looked at everything, he's considered everything. If he didn't think it was going to work, he came back to us and looked for assistance. And I told him that, in my opinion, the scary development agreements are the ones where they agree to everything, because they agree to everything, and then they're back saying, oh, I can't do that. So it was a really great collaborative effort, and we had a lot of staff members involved in it. But I do appreciate the compliment. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. All right, let's do a roll call on this portion of it.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Kano.
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Stepp.
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton.
Aye.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
The motion carries.
So we're on the second part now. So there is a second action needed. So may I have a motion, a second, to approve the related budget transfer of $80,000?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Vice Mayor Campbell and a second from Councilman Stitt. Open for council discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Let's go to 7.4 on business to conduct a public hearing to consider the Rainbow Valley Final Plan Area Development Rezone. Open the public hearing. Karen Craver, once more, Planner 3 presenting.
Thank you, Mayor. For the big picture location of the Rainbow Valley PAD, it's about 12 miles south of I-10. It's a quarter mile southwest of Cantamia, and it's on the edge of the Goodyear planning area. Yeah, the subject property is 1,000 acres on the west side of Rainbow Valley Road, about 1/8 of a mile south of the Willis Road Water Campus. And it's bisected by the Waterman Wash running through the property right there. They have 3 low-density residential categories. The lighter colors right here in this area, they have 1 medium-density residential category, which is the darker orange. They have commercial parcels along the 303 alignment. They have neighborhood parks in the green, and again, the Waterman Wash, and an elementary school site. These are the development standards for the low-density residential. They have 65-foot wide lots, 55-foot wide lots, and 45-foot wide lots. And as amenities to support those smaller lots, they will be creating either a community center, an aquatic center, or a splash pad complex with the development of one of their neighborhood parks. They also, as I said, they have 44 acres of medium density residential. In those underlying zoning districts, the R2, it's a 2-family residential. The R1A is an attached single-family product, and the R1C is a court home product. They will be creating significant enhancements to the Waterman Wash, and the wash will also be connected to the regional trail system right here at the corner of the development. They will have 11 neighborhood parks, and 3 of those will be enhanced parks, meaning they will have restroom facilities and sports fields. And the applicant has a presentation and has a lot of information to provide to you about the open space in the park, so I'll leave that to them. And then, of course, all of the parcels themselves will be interconnected via trails. And I wanted to show you this. There was some discussion and concern at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting about homes being adjacent to the 303. And this cross-section shows you that here would be a lot line of a residential home. Then there would be an 80-foot freeway buffer, and within that there would be a minimum of a 35-foot landscape track. Then you would go adjacent to that, a frontage road, and then here in the center would be the 303. So there's quite a bit of distance between the 303 and the lot line, and then the back of the home as well. And the PAD is in conformance with the neighborhood designation from the general plan. It's in conformance with the zoning ordinance requirements for a rezone, and it's in conformance with the Parks Master Plan. So staff and the P&Z Commission are recommending approval and adoption of ordinance 2018-1409.
Thank you, Karen. Now, does the applicant want to speak again? Or? Yes, all right. Please come forward. Oh, now, no comments like that, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, for the record, Bill Lally with Tiffany Bosco, 2525 East Camelback Road here, representing Mike Merriman and really the team. We had a large team assembled for this, did a lot of hard work, not only in the development agreement, but in many of those meetings, we sat around and we talked about the PAD, you know, as opposed to the few opportunities to sit in with staff, maybe a post-app meeting or a pre-app meeting, and then back and forth with written comments. We had the great opportunity to sit face-to-face with planning staff many, many times. So anytime there was a park issue or an enhancement issue or a trailhead connection issue, we had weekly meetings to be able to also discuss some of these PAD issues. Of course, Karen took all of my thunder, as she always does, and did a great job with the presentation. I will show you, again, just a couple of the exhibits that talk about the enhanced parks, because when you're building a community that's this far away, it's 1,000 acres, and it's meant to be a master plan community, you got to have all the pieces there. You've got to have the school site, which is in the middle. You've got to have the large parks. You know, we were blessed and or cursed with two constraints: the 303 freeway coming through that we have to plan around, the large Waterman Wash coming through that we have to plan around. We use those as benefits to the property instead of constraints, and really try to have the land uses buffering from those amenities, as we would call them, but also try to make sure that, let me get to, try to make sure that the land uses adjacent to the freeway are sustainable, long-term commercial uses that residents down there are going to want to have many years into the future. And so as you look at the parks, we really tried to provide not only some details. If you see, it's a large full-size soccer park there. You see parking along there. You see large facilities. This is what's really going to make this community great. They're not going to have to park on the street in front of all of the parks. There's parking. There's going to be bathrooms. It's really going to be a family-oriented master plan community with great access eventually to the freeway, a great wash trail system coming through the project. Again, more parks with large baseball fields, large amenities, and really staff drove us to provide this level of detail. We didn't have that in the very beginning of the project, and so we hired another consultant to really think through and visualize what staff was pushing us to do. And so again, another collaborative effort working with staff to make sure if you're going to put the small lots in there and you're going to have these other constraints in there, you need to make sure that you have all the amenities to make this a true master plan community. So again, we appreciate all of the hard work, all of the direction from many of you who spent many hours meeting with staff and directing staff on what this really should and needs to be in the future, and helping us understand how to really put in the hard work here. I know Mr. Merriman is very, very happy to be here tonight to kick this project off. We reiterate, he submitted this in 2007. So 10 years later, plus, here we are. So we're very excited to be here with staff support. We're very excited to be here with Planning Commission support. And again, I want to thank everybody who was involved on both the city side and on our development team side, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. I'm going to close there's no other speaker cards, I'm assuming.
No, Mayor.
All right, I'm going to close the meeting. Will the city clerk please read Resolution 2018-1902 by title only, please?
Adopt Resolution Number 2018-1902, declaring as public records those certain documents filed with the city clerk entitled Official Supplementary Zoning Map Number 07-23, Rainbow Valley Legal Description, and Rainbow Valley Pad Development Standards Book dated August 2018.
Thank you. Could I have a motion, a second, to approve Resolution 2018-1902? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilmember Hampton and a second by Vice Mayor Campbell. Open for council discussion? No.
I do.
Yes, Councilman Kano.
I just wanted to say that I recognize this is truly a pioneering effort going down there, and definitely a long labor. You had to be visionary to see the land and make it into a community and connect it into Goodyear. I think the Wash is going to be a great recreation corridor and really opens up a recreation piece for our city. I think you have a little bit of a challenge with the 303 cutting through the property and how you're going to integrate that other side into the community, but I know that we're still a long way from knowing if it's going to be at grade or elevated and things like that. So I think it's going to be essential that people do have a way to get access to I-10, and I think living by the 303 is not going to be the same as living right next to I-10. So I'm very supportive of this.
Great. Any other comment? All right, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, will the city clerk please read ordinance 2018-1409 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2018-1409, rezoning approximately 999.3 acres of land located between South Rainbow Valley Road and South 187th Avenue on the north side of West Cream Creek Road from the Agricultural Urban AU Zoning District to the final planned area development PAD Zoning District, amending the zoning map of the city of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, providing for corrections, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for penalties.
Thank you. May I please have a motion, a second, to adopt ordinance 2018-1409?
So moved.
Second.
All righty, heard a motion by Vice Mayor Campbell and a second by Councilman Pizzillo. Open for council discussion. All right, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, council, thank you. I'm going to ask you if you'd like a break at this point. If you'd like to take a break? We have it on here, 10-minute break.
I could use
No?
it.
You
Sure,
want
sure.
Sure.
Sure, you do? All right, great. We're going to take a 10-minute break.
Okay.
Yep.
Parcel 7.1. Oh, just went on, didn't it? Alex Latensky, Planner 2, presenting. Alex?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a second. The preliminary plat for Estrella Parcel 7.1 consists of 28.88 acres and includes 80 lots and 32 tracts. It's located just north of Estrella Parkway and Calistoga intersection, and it's just east of the Bougainvillea Park. Earlier this year, we processed the council approved the amendment for the Montecito PAD, which designated the property for court homes. So these units are court home products, and typically they're in packs of 6. On the left, you can see that cluster shared with a shared drive. At the main entry off of Calistoga Drive is 177th Drive, and then right at the entry is a little open space area. There's also access off 178th Avenue. The preliminary plat is consistent with the Montecito PAD and the city's engineering and development standards. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the item on October 10th. Following that meeting, staff and the applicant determined that there was an incorrect recording number on the preliminary plat. Therefore, staff included a stipulation in your packets. That's stipulation number 11. That's just requiring that those recording numbers be corrected with the submittal of the final plat. And the applicant has agreed to this stipulation as well. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Pete Tyke is also available for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Alex. Does the applicant want to speak?
If you have questions.
All right, thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, good. Then let's have a motion, a second. To approve.
So moved.
I have to finish this.
Sorry.
For the record, I love the exuberance. Yes. Is there a motion, a second, to approve the preliminary plat for Estrella Parcel 7.1 subject to stipulations? And I believe I had a robust motion.
Yes, so moved.
Councilmember Kano. And do I hear a second?
Second.
And from Councilman Stipp. Open for council discussion? No discussion?
Mayor, I just have one
yes,
comment.
Councilman Stipp.
Pete, just to get this on the record, as we talked during the break, the things that are going on in Estrella are so exciting, and Newland is doing such a great job at a diversity of products and the quality up there. I really appreciate that, and I know the residents up there do, and as a community, it's only making us stronger. So please pass that word back to the rest of the folks, Bill Olson and the gang back at Newland. Thank you.
I think the entire council feels that way.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we run into people all the time
Sorry.
that I didn't know that live up there, businessmen and all around the valley. And so it is a real special place. It's not the size of a village, but it has the feeling of a village. So just kudos to them. Any other discussion on this before we vote? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the ayes have it. Next item, 7.6, to approve a request for the preliminary plat for Cantamia Phase 3, Parcel 32. Well, hello, Steve Caraccia, to Planner 3 to present. Steve? Did I get any close? Caraccia?
You're good.
Oh, yeah, okay. Steve?
We got to hire people.
See,
with
he
names like
smiles,
Smith
that's
and
okay.
Jones.
All right, Steve, you're on.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. Tonight we're in Cantamia, a little bit south of where we just were in Montecito. And this is Estrella Parkway. We have Willis here, Rainbow Valley Road right here. Where we're looking at tonight is kind of right here in the center, parcel 32. And this is the overall Cantamia master plan that was approved in about 2005. Here we have basically phase 1, where you come into main part of Cantamia here, and it kind of wraps around Cantamia Parkway, phase 2, and then phase 3 will be this northern part of the triangle here. And as you can see, the developer is kind of moving along into phase 2 and now moving into phase 3. And again, this is just the surrounding area. It kind of shows you what's been built to date. We have the lakes here, the residence facility right here, the main entrance into Cantamia. And again, you can kind of see how we're wrapping around and we're getting into those next phases. And now we're just zooming in. This is 32, where it'll be right here. We have a couple existing points of entry here. We'll also have, as 32, 33, and 34 come online, we'll have access to the main loop road. Back in 2014, we had a preliminary plat for phases 2 and 3 and approved, and that was 326 acres over 1,000 lots, and that did include parcel 32 here. Since 2014, the applicant has decided these were 70-foot wide lots. The applicant has now decided that 60-foot wide lots would be better for this parcel, and that is consistent with the minimum lot width that is allowed in Cantamia. It is a 60-foot minimum, so it is consistent with the PAD. However, because they did want to reduce the lot width, they did have to submit a new preliminary plat, and that is the one before you tonight. And with that, they're going from 37 to 41 lots. So even with the lot width reduction, it is an increase of only those 4 lots. And this is the new layout. Again, you can see it maintains the same street configuration, same private streets as is all throughout of Cantamia. The 41 lots, they're 60 feet wide by 117 feet deep, and we'll have about 2.5 acres of open space within parcel 32. Staff did find it consistent with the Cantamia PAD, with our engineering standards and our subdivision regulations. Planning and Zoning Commission did consider this at their meeting of October 10th. They did vote in favor. With that, staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission, we are recommending approval subject to the STIPs in the staff report. With that, Mayor, that concludes my presentation. Available for any questions.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Would you like to speak? All right, thank you very much. Okay, are there any other speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, then I need a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Vice Mayor Campbell, a second from Councilman Basillo. Open for council discussion.
I've got a quick question,
Wally's
please,
got a
Mayor.
question.
Did I say the wrong one?
No, you're good.
Good. I'll take care of that. Just a minute. You mind if I run the meeting? Okay. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Excuse me. Steve, I just have a real quick question. What is located between lot 113 and lot 125 on the map? Is that a drainage area or a water tower, or see right there?
Right here?
No, bottom right. Right here.
See if you can reach it there, Wally.
Sorry. I need
Put
a
her on your
stool.
shoulders.
Yeah, we've officially lost control.
Yeah, what's there, do you know? Do y'all know? I mean, everybody's looking.
This
Open
here?
pit, okay, that's all. I didn't know if that was gonna be a large lot or a park or what?
Open space.
Open pit. Okay.
Yes, open space.
Thank you. That's it.
Anything else? Yes, Councilman Stipp.
I couldn't say great things about Newland without talking about great things with Cantamia. Again, exciting community. Appreciate you guys continuing to build through and doing it in the right way. And, just keep doing great work because the community is really responding well to it. And we just appreciate it.
Okay, I've just lost her. Are we ready to vote on this? I lost where we are.
Yeah, we're ready.
It's just
I'm sorry, I can't hear from up here.
oh, you just need to ask all in favor and all
Okay,
opposed.
that's where we're at. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you for getting me back on. 7.7 on business is to adopt the ordinance 2018-1404 establishing compensation for the mayor, vice mayor, and council members. Our city clerk, Darcy McCracken, and our human resources director, Lyman Lockett, will be presenting the committee members.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we're here to introduce our ad hoc council compensation committee. The committee was assembled to review council compensation. And before we bring them up, we'll bring up our committee chair and vice chair, and I'll introduce the members. But before that, I just wanted to recognize them for the work that they did. The council compensation has not been reviewed since 2007.
Wow.
It's over a decade. And that in and of itself makes for a challenging task. And they were very methodical and thoughtful about the way they approached it. So they'll come up and they'll present their recommendation and answer any questions that you may have. So we have our committee chair, Susan Smeltzer, our committee vice chair, Carl Hamilton, and two committee members are also here, Aubrey Jones and Nancy Love. Come on up. And I'll turn things over to them.
Welcome. Good evening. And I live in Estrella, and I love it there too. So. Good evening, Mayor Lord, Vice Mayor Campbell, and council members. On behalf of myself, Vice Chairman Hamilton, and the other members of the committee, I thank you for allowing us to present tonight. I'll turn it over to Carl to begin the presentation.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening.
Mayor, Council. My role is to kind of give you a mental picture of the process we went through. The committee was highly engaged. We collaborated with the City of Goodyear's HR, legal department, even the public information officer, because anytime you want to spend money, you better have a value-added proposition. It's not a political good thing. So we did that. We wanted to look at a strategy. We developed a strategy, then we developed a tactical application model to make sure that strategy was on point. The primary part of our strategy was to make sure that the focus was on the future. This is not about spend money, give the elected officials raises. It's about continuing to align with dynamic growth, and dynamic growth requires dynamic planning and a dynamic infrastructure. So Mr. Lockett clearly said, is this it? Clearly said, oh, that's not it. That one. That there had been no attention to this issue since 2007. So if we look at all the raises that the employees of the city have gotten, it's kind of interesting that it did not mature or develop as a process. So in developing that strategy, we realized that there were two critical paths. One was to assimilate all the analytics that we could through several multiple sources, which the chair will expand on. And also, we needed to have a change in ordinance where we have some review, periodic review, either 2 or 3 years, so we don't find ourselves in this pickle. I think you'll see when we make our recommendation that it is absolutely not midpoint. It is very conservative, but it's the beginning of a process so we don't get in this position again. We wanted to make sure, number two, that it aligned with the organizational goals, and I think we did that. What I'd like to do is turn it over to Chair and get into some of the analytics that we use to reach our recommendation.
Thank you. The committee met multiple times and compared the metrics of benchmark cities. In particular, we looked at the compensation of mayor, vice mayor, and council members, as well as the populations in each of these benchmark cities. These cities are the same ones used by Goodyear for other comparable data. You've been provided a copy of the data that we analyzed in both chart and graphical form. We also reviewed 12 years. I know it may say 10, and we started looking at 10, but being that it's going to be 12 years before this takes into effect, we carried it over to 12 years. We reviewed 12 years of historical data, both on an average basis and year-specific basis, for financial and economic data that could be quantitatively influential in decision-making for compensation matters. We looked at 12 years of data for the Consumer Price Index and the cost of living adjustment as listed by the Social Security Administration. Some of you may be familiar with the term COLA, or cost of living adjustment. We also looked at the last 12 years of City of Goodyear employee wage increases. And finally, we reviewed the various job functions, time commitments, and responsibilities of the City of Goodyear mayor, vice mayor, and council members. The confluence of the above factors led us to the following recommendations. Our first recommendation is to review the council's compensation every 2 years in off-election years. A regular review cycle will help mitigate the current compensation gap we found to prevail and to bring and keep it more in line with appropriate levels. Our second recommendation is to adjust council compensation effective for those inducted in June of 2019. No sitting member of the council would receive any adjustments of compensation in their current term. Compensation for mayor would be increased by $7,000 to $30,000. Vice mayor compensation would be increased by $4,000 to $16,500, and council member compensation would be increased by $2,800 to $12,000. We present our recommendations based on the review of information we discussed. We believe our review to be thorough and well thought out, and we now put them forth for your consideration and approval and adoption of the ordinance that would enact the changes. If you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards? All right, thank you. I see you're right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, will the city clerk please read an ordinance 2018-1404 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2018-1404, establishing compensation for the mayor, vice mayor, and council members of the City of Goodyear, and providing for a regular review of the compensation package available to the members of council, providing for repeal of conflicting provisions, providing for corrections, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to adopt ordinance 2018-1404, please? A motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Vice Mayor Campbell. I'm sorry, I didn't hear who the second was. Councilman Bazzillo. Open for council discussion. Councilman Bazzillo?
You know, I mean, I remember when this was originally being discussed, and I was actually an employee at that time, and why they didn't move forward at that, I don't know, because I wasn't on the bench. But the same token, none of us up here do this for the money, obviously. And most of us up here use our own vehicle when we're traveling around here. So I don't even know if it does cover the actual cost itself. But to be competitive as you go future, and again, nobody in their current term would be effective. I agree with your recommendations that it should be updated regularly. And it should be consistent with what's comparable for the position. So I will be voting in favor of it.
Any other discussion? Councilman Stiff?
I really, we'll speak something up here. Excuse me. I really appreciate the work of the committee and the time. Your methodology was right on, very in depth, and there's zero flaw in the recommendations in their entirety. Now, however, for the last several years have been talking about us doing taking a different approach to how we look at the spending that we're going through in the city, and have not been in support of the budget, et cetera. And because of that, I have a very hard time voting to increase the wages of the council when we haven't looked at what's going on in the city as a whole. There's no doubt in my mind that we work harder for the amount of money that we get. And when people say, hey, have you ever calculated your hourly rate? I don't think I could do that because it would just make you crazy. And as Councilmember Pizzillo points out, the amount of, the miles we put on our cars to drive to various events and whatnot, it all adds up. But philosophically, I cannot support a council wage increase, given just our overall approach to budgeting. So until we get that kind of solved, which I kind of think we're going to in the next budget year, at this point in time, I can't support that. But I wanted you all to know how much I appreciated it and why I felt that way, because there's nothing wrong with anything that you did. It's just how I feel about where we're at from a financial position. So thank you for your efforts and all the great work that you did.
Councilmember Kano?
I have a background in HR, and I know that compensation studies are a regular part. And for the people being studied, it can be very emotional. But for those who are doing the studies like you, it's very fact-driven. It's market and data analysis. And
I have a degree in quantitative analysis, so
very
it's all
good. It
it's all
shows.
numbers for me.
It shows, and actually, the way that I agree with your methodology, certainly, but this was exactly the right way to do this with the citizen engagement, taking a look at this. Over 10 years is just way too long, and one of the things that is concerning me, because being new on council, I'm realizing the cost of time. I've just graduated from Leadership West, and they talk about the cost of leadership. And there is a cost that we pay in order to have this position. And it's important that we look forward to the people following us and the generations. We want the younger generations, but they may have childcare. They might have to pay, have additional expenses to take time off from work and in order to participate in this public discussion. So appreciate very much the work you did. I think it's fair and reasonable.
Councilmember Campton?
Yeah, like they said as well, I appreciate all the hard work you put into it and looking at the different data and coming up with a good solution. I agree that, being able to look at this more often is important as opposed to the 10 years that we've had. And that's the other point as well. I mean, we don't do it for the money, but I do appreciate the just the effort you put into it, and also the how it all panned out, that we had a good process and that the public was involved and that you guys came up with the data just strictly from the data. So I agree with it, and I think it's needed, and I appreciate all the hard work. So thank you.
Vice Mayor? No comments?
No.
Nobody else?
I agree with everything.
Great. Well, so it's left to the mayor. I want to thank you, and I want to thank you the way you went about it. It isn't easy to take this one on, but you did a great job, and I think you've proven that we do need to have a program from now on. We need to give this raise, and we need to be sure we're checking as time goes on, just like the rest of the staff. I think it supports the notion that council works hard, and I think they need to be rewarded for that. I'm the one that brought it up, okay? Because I was on the council when we said no years ago, and I was new then, and I really didn't understand, and they didn't approach it in the same way that you've approached it, very scientific, and so it makes it easier to vote on. But we're not all going to be here forever, and I know this mayor is not going to be. I'm in my last term. So I want people that are going to replace these council members that work as hard and take the job as seriously as this group takes it. This is not an easy job. I mean, you have to make some hard decisions, and it costs you money. And I will tell you, as the mayor, I am a very busy mayor. And if I want myself to be replaced with the same type of individual who's aggressive, who attends things all over the valley, who steps out and makes decisions, who's bold, who really loves the city, cares for it, and puts their life into it. So you have to pay people. You have to at least pay them enough. Okay, I can ask the ladies, how many clothes you bought since you've been on here? You know how it is. I mean, how many shoes do you wear through? Hey, how many suits? You guys probably didn't have as many suits as you have on here. I mean, that's practical things. And the time away from home. the time you give up holidays with your loved one. You ask my husband how many times he's alone and isn't being able to attend things. So, I mean, there's a lot involved in this. The worth is there. When you look at the growth of our city, and yes, we weren't the people that were pushing the pencil and doing all the hard work like the council was, but we're the decision makers, and we take the chance, and we're the ones that face the public. And it isn't pleasant all the time. Sometimes it's great. But, I mean, there's so much connected with being on the council. And I'm sorry that Bill doesn't feel his worth is that worth, Bill. But you are worth that. And I want all of you to feel that way. And this is not a political thing. It's not about, you give the truth and let the electorate decide if they're going to vote for you or not vote for you, because you took this big, bold step. But step tells the public, hey, I'm working hard. I've been working hard. I deserve this. And I am part of the staff. We do a lot of studying, a lot of reading. I mean, 44 pages tonight is a pure example of reading through a document and then trying to understand
And
it
that was
all.
only that.
Then that's so I appreciate the work, and I'm definitely voting on this for the future and for the future of council people and future mayors that will be sitting on this dais. So great job. Thank you.
And really, it's all the members of the committee, were equally important in providing input and different perspectives, because we all have different backgrounds. Yeah. And I think the review every 2 years is really important to consider, because, I mean, just sitting here tonight and hearing what you've had to consider with all the different development, it's just going to continue more rapidly, I mean, with the growth of Goodyear. And when we, again, pure numbers, when we looked at averages of your peer communities, right now the salaries are only anywhere from 36 to 49% of the average. The increase gets you to 47 to 65%. So it's a step process. And then hopefully the review every 2 years, will be easier to review, based on the current dynamics going on in the community.
Well, and it just makes it a little bit more palatable for individuals that have a full-time job, but would really like to give back to their city, to have that bit of compensation, if nothing more, to pay for babysitters. I mean, and I'm looking forward to having all ages on this council. I can remember when I came on, it was a lot of Pebble Creekers were on then, and we really want to cross of what the public is, from the Palm Valleys to to all of our neighborhoods, and this is going to help that. So, any other discussion before we do this? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Campbell. Aye. Councilmember Hampton.
Aye.
Councilmember Kano.
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Stepp.
Nay.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we're on the 7.8. The last item on business is to request and adopt to adopt Resolution 2018-1912, adopting the land use assumptions and infrastructure improvement plan. Hello, Lori.
Hey there.
Budget manager presenting. Yeah.
I have another one of those difficult last names.
Pick 'em off.
I'm here to talk to you about, just going to go through, okay, there we go. We've talked a couple times about this particular plan. There's no changes in the plan from when we spoke with you last week. So I'm just going to real quick go through, again, this plan is forecasts our future growth. It then determines the amount of infrastructure that's needed as a result of that growth. And then it identifies what the cost of that would be to the various land uses in our jurisdiction. So I'm going to kind of just walk through the infrastructure that's included, what that means in terms of fees, talk a little bit more about economic development program that the council has expressed an interest in us moving forward along with this fee, and then ask you to adopt the plan. As a reminder, in this plan, we're going to 2 areas for all the services, with the exception of police, which continues to be a citywide fee. What we have depicted here are what the north area and the south area would be in the new plan. And again, I'll remind you that water and wastewater do not apply outside the Goodyear service areas, so they don't apply in all these areas in either the north area or the south area. Just a quick run through the infrastructure. We've got the police buildings as needed, vehicles, and a radio tower. In fire, equivalent of almost 2 fire stations for the north area and 1 fire station in the south. Of course, that station in the south is already in progress, and a future West Goodyear one is not too far away. In the parks, we would have 32.6 acres of land, of parkland funded or parks funded in the north, and 30 acres of that is currently under design as well. And then in the south, there would be a 17-acre expansion in the Foothills Community Park, and that's all the acreage that's available in that particular area. In the area of streets, we have been making changes throughout. This does reflect the changes that we last spoke to you about, which was adding back that Estrella and Cotton Lane project and retiming the bridge, the life of the bridge, and also of that intersection project. Water, everywhere in the city is getting its proportionate share of the surface water project. And then just some additional projects in the north and south areas. In area of wastewater, there are some plant expansions, some ongoing debt, which we're continuing to collect on. That's a long-term debt requirement. And then we have the proportionate share of adding anaerobic digestion to the Goodyear plant, and a proportionate share of odor control to be added to the Rainbow Valley plant. And when I say proportionate share, that's the portion that the growth projected in this 10 years would consume of that particular project. These are the same fees that we showed you last week, so just quickly show them to you again. And again, as I move forward, I'll remind you that you still have to go through the process of adopting the fees, but this is what the fees would look like as a result of the infrastructure and the land use assumptions. And again, the same examples that we've been using on the residential, or excuse me, the retail, the office, and the industrial to show the impacts in those areas of this fee compared to the existing program. There was some discussion at the last meeting, last work session, and the one before about the council's concerns about the increases specifically in the area of industrial, but just in general, the increases in the non-residential areas. The council has asked us to work on developing an economic development incentive program, and that would be kind of a flexible, adaptable program. The Economic Development Department is engaged in that and looking towards developing that program. When we spoke last, we talked about the current funding that's available in this year's budget for a retail impact fee incentive program, and the potential of using that funding source to help seed a different program that would address the changes that are coming forward with this fee and just overall incentive programs for economic development. And that we would continue to look for opportunities to pursue additional funding as needed for a program like that. That program is not something that we can sit here and today give you a recommendation for, but we are working closely with economic development, and they're working on that program. It would be our effort to look for opportunities as you adopt these fees to take the action to then free up those remaining resources in the retail program to move forward should there be a need to do some kind of implementation in the current year. In terms of next steps, assuming that you will approve this plan tonight, tomorrow we will post the fees that would be generated as a result of this plan. As you are aware, you have to go through the steps of adopting the fees. If the fees are not adopted to support the plan that is approved, then we would have to identify other city resources to close that gap. Once those fees are posted, you would hold a public hearing on December 3rd, as required by state statute, on the fee portion of the process. And then on January 14th, you would adopt those fees. And there's a 75-day period before those fees can become effective after you've adopted them. And again, this is all per the statute's required timelines. And then, as we've discussed before, there is an up to 24-month moratorium for certain projects that are already platted or have their site plans. So for up to 24 months, the older fees would apply for them depending on when certain actions happened. And with that, unless you have questions, we'd encourage you to adopt the resolution approving this plan, and then also setting the December 3rd as the public hearing date.
Thank you, Lori. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Would the city clerk please read Resolution 2018-1912 by title only, please?
Adopt Resolution Number 2018-1912, adopting the Land Use Assumptions and Infrastructure Improvements Plan, IIP, providing notice of intention to assess development fees and providing for corrections, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion and second to adopt Resolution 2018-1912? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Hampton, a second from Vice Mayor Campbell. Open for council discussion. Councilman Stiff?
Lori, you touched on it briefly on the previous slide, I think, with the time. No,
sorry,
that one. That's okay.
Push the button too hard.
You said something about the plans that are already in motion. That you didn't use that word, but can you hit that again? I was writing a note to ask the question, and I missed what your answer was.
So, and it's getting late, so I hope I get this right. But if you are if it's a residential development and it has an approved plat, as long as that plat is approved by April 1st and a building permit is pulled before April 1st, they would have 24 months from the date that first building permit was pulled for the existing fees to apply. If it's a non-residential, if the site plan has been approved, correct site plan? Thank you. It's 24 months from the approval of the site plan that the existing fees would apply. The one exception would be that in the case of a portion of we have a wastewater fee that's being reduced, and that reduction would go into effect immediately. So it's only the increases that would have the moratorium applied.
So for those that are working on a site plan, is there an ability in a development agreement or something to hold those fees? I'm kind of looking at Rourke, but we're not quite to site plan approval yet, but I'm worried about the projects that are kind of in motion that are.
Well, there's typically, as Lori indicated, the statutory thresholds. A development agreement, you get into the context where you're going to statutorily, you have to make the development fee account whole if you're not within that moratorium period. So give it a little bit more thought, but I think just based upon the statutory construction, one, you could do it, but you may have to come back in with general fund fees and make that account whole.
Okay. All right. And then my second question is regarding the thing that we're not talking about tonight, but which is the economic development impact issue. One of the things that you talked about was flexible and adaptable or whatever. One of the components of that we have not really talked about is the spec building concept. If you think about our very large sub-zero UPS, there's another large spec building, and I'm drawing a blank on it all of a sudden. Those were specs that came in that I'm anxious to hear on the third when we actually talk about it, what the plan is because I don't think we can leave specs out of the process, because we've been very successful at that, and we've got a lot of them coming forward. And since we've gone through a 100% increase, I'm very anxious about what does that look like, and appreciative of everyone's work to get that done. So I'll wait for the answer on the 3rd. I just wanted to make one more statement for staff consideration as they're contemplating that about spec buildings.
Thank you, Councilmember. I did speak with the industrial representatives after the last meeting, and I passed that message on to economic development as well after that conversation. So.
Thank you.
Any other? Councilmember?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, if they build a spec building, there's 2 years. Does that start the 2 years as well?
The impact fees are applied when you pull the building permit.
Okay, so if the spec building's already built, then they pulled the building permit. So from that point, they pulled the permit. They've had 2 years at the old rate. So they've got 2 years to fill it before any impact.
Right. Well, I think that would be something that's an important part of developing the program.
Right.
Once the impact fees are paid, they've already been paid.
Right,
And
that's what I mean,
that's
so.
why I think you'd like us to look at ways to come up with a more flexible, adaptable program to address the council's priorities.
But we were looking at the flexibility too, is with those increases. And also if they're locked in at the older rates,
They've
I'm
already
not sure
paid
how
the
much,
older rates.
well, I'm
right?
not sure how much I would have at the older, lesser rates from the incentives as much trying to save on those increases. That's what I thought the discussion really was about, was trying to mitigate those increases. So again, if you've built a spec, you've already paid for your impact fees at the lower rates. So just throwing that out when we get into discussion on the flexibility.
Any other discussion? All right, may I have a motion and a second to approve the December 3rd, 2018 as the date for the public hearing and the adoption of proposed development fees calculated from the plan. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, you already have a motion and a second on the floor.
Oh, I do. Thank you.
We just need a vote.
Discussions are all in favor then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, it needs to be a roll call vote because it is a resolution.
I'm sorry, I've lost.
That's okay. We're going to just do a roll call
It's been a
vote.
long evening. Just leave me by my nose.
Vice Mayor Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Kano. Aye. Councilmember Pizzillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Stipp.
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton.
Aye.
Mayor Lord.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to also thank a couple of stakeholders that have stuck this thing out through this entire process, who stuck it out tonight as well.
And I'm sorry to have almost messed it up at the last vote. All right, anybody, council, do you have any comments?
Actually,
Update?
Mayor, we still have we need a motion and a second to set December 3rd as the public hearing date.
All right, thank you so much. Do I hear a motion on that one?
Second.
All right. Is this a roll call vote?
All in favor.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. All right, council, comments, accommodations, anything want to talk about?
Yeah.
Councilman Pizzillo?
A couple things. First thing though is, I know it's an Avondale event, but on Billy Moore days, I got to throw out a shout out and a thank you to Brandon. I'm on the board of Southwest Lending Closet. We lend non-medical equipment to people free of charge for 90 days. And one of our fundraisers was that event. And the event was a water barrel exercise where it's like a, tug of war, but you're shooting water at a barrel to try to move it along this wire. And I had sponsored a team, and I asked Brandon for the Joe Pizzillo team, can you get me 3 people so we can take hold of gold? And if I have it right here, it was, let me see if I can pull it up, because I want to get the guys' names that were in there, and I'm probably going to mess up the explanation. But he brought home the gold, took the prize, the team did. Was it Thomas Shank? And William Bison? And Dennis Fisher were the 3 team members, and then Brandon that helped bring home the gold. So when we see Mayor Weiss next time, Brandon, yes. And again, thank you very much. I appreciate you doing that for me.
Yes, Councilman. Vice Mayor?
Well, we had a wonderful fall festival, and I want to, number one, thank the Youth Commission for stepping up and helping the Friends of the Library have a very successful book sale. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of the ballpark staff for their excellent job in executing a wonderful night. And the kids were darling.
Sure. I went to the Ball Corporation with a few members up here too. So that was a great experience as well to see a high caliber employer doing a lot of neat things. And yeah, just it's a good facility and it's growing. And yeah, it's a good thing for Goodyear. And then retail, or what do you call it? Is that a retail? A restaurant? A restaurant as well. Federico's. Federico's. Saw the mayor be in a burrito eating contest, so that was fun to watch too. So yeah, it's a good time. Good time. The kids liked it too. So yeah, that's a few things I did. So thank you.
Any other? Councilman Pizzolo?
The serving lunch. I don't think I mentioned it last time.
I forgot that.
It's one of, in my humble opinion, it's one of the perks of the job. It's what I love to do. Okay, so I got to hang out in the cafeteria at the Palm Valley Elementary School and dish out the meals to the kids. And we had a system going. I was in the middle, had one on the right, one on the left, and we were moving those trays as fast as we could. And again, I truly enjoy doing that type of work in this position. So that's what I really enjoy doing. And the Halloween costume, that type of thing. But anyway, it was a great time. And my granddaughter pretended like she didn't recognize me when I was in there because she's hanging with her. It's uncool when you're hanging with your friends in the cafeteria to let your poppy know that you're there. But anyway, it was a great time. So.
Anybody else? Councilman Canio.
Well, I also did a school lunch, and I was so impressed with their system and the fact that they cook food there and offer very attractive fruit and vegetable bars. The kids have a great, healthy selection for food, and I really enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it too. It's always nice to see. It was fun. The tension was on Mr. Vegetable.
David
Broccoli Man.
Broccoli Man.
They brought a man dressed in broccoli. So that was, the kids got a big kick out of this. Yeah, Councilman Sip.
Mayor, we had a Valley Metro Board of Directors meeting last week. There's a discussion that is beginning to happen about the remaining funds from Prop 400 and what we're doing with public transportation. So be looking for further information on that. The West Side is trying to work through their allocation of the Prop 400 monies, and I think there'll be some further action that will be necessary, but we're kind of coalescing a little bit on some of the needs from the West Side.
We're very involved in that on MAG, so it's been a constant discussion on managers and mayors, and so yes, that's the hot topic right now. So anything else from everybody? Okay, then the next meeting, let me see if I have it on here. Pardon?
November something.
I'll turn it over to the manager. How about you give them all the information? Thank you.
I'll make it brief. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I just wanted to recap a little bit on the Fall Festival, give you some of the numbers from the very successful spectacular event. We had over 8,400 people in attendance, and we had 220 people participating in the costume contest. We gave away more than 250,000 pieces of candy, an actual ton of candy. And we had a number of city departments participating in booths that they themed and worked. And I think we all had a lot of fun interacting with our community in that way. So I want to send a special thank you to Mayor and Council for the costume contest judging and also our city departments who participated. We have two very special events coming up on Saturday. We have Goodyear's 11th annual Make a Difference Day. That will start at 7 a.m. at City Hall. We anticipate more than 300 volunteers participating in 12 different community service events. We also have GAIN events on Saturday, which is Getting Arizona Involved in Neighborhoods. And we have 8 communities who've registered to participate this year. So look forward to recapping both of those events. Thank you.
Great. All right. Anything for the city manager to follow up on? All right. Then the next meeting will be, let's see, we'll have a... Pardon me?
I do. Can we get some information about it hasn't happened yet, but maybe get ahead of it. The electric scooter, where they're just being left everywhere. We can get some information on, can we do anything? Can we, there's these electric scooters that you can rent.
Yes.
You rent it, and then wherever you get, you leave it, and it lays on the sidewalk or lays on the side of the road, or.
Are we having that problem in our city?
We haven't yet, but I know that they are in Peoria because it's happening by my church.
If I may, I actually found 2 in front of the Walmart on Estrella Parkway. I took a picture, brought it into staff, and Christian is currently working on a project to do some research. I don't know if they had been rented somewhere else and left in Goodyear, but that really, I think, was our first sign that this will be something coming to our community. And so we are currently investigating and looking at what those policies could look like.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get ahead of it
Is
before it
that
becomes
someone
an
in
issue.
our city that's renting them out?
No, it's not happening yet, but if you look nationwide, there are a lot of issues that are coming as a result of that, and I want to get ahead of it. So I'm just looking for some information.
Great.
I'm not asking for policy direction or a work session or anything, just some information, and then we can decide where to go.
Well, I
from
suppose
there.
that covers
Thank
all
you.
of them, because you have the bikes, so you have, there's just a number of things you can rent, and we see Phoenix having problems, we see Tempe having problems, so, yeah, good idea, thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, November 26th, let's see, you have a CFD meeting on November 5th at 5:45, and a regular meeting will be at 6. This meeting is adjourned.